Hello, lovely people, and welcome to A Conscious Tribe. I'm here with the beautiful Staci.
Hello.
We are both huge fans of Kyle Cease. We're going to talk about his latest book, The Illusion of Money. We both have signed copies.
Oh yeah, baby.
We're a little obsessed. So that's kind of how we met with our obsession over this book. Where he was speaking at Evolve with Dr. Shefali Sabari, who wrote a beautiful foreword in the book. If you're not familiar with Kyle, he was a comedian. He had a Comedy Central special. He was very successful comedian tours on the road. He was in a movie, 10 Things I Hate About You. And he realized everything that he was trying to attain, every goal, once he met it, he was still unhappy and he was miserable. And so one day it dawned on him to get curious about that. And that's where it led him to transformation. And that takes, excuse the language, but that takes balls. That takes big balls to be like, oh, hi, I'm at the peak of my career in Hollywood. You know what? It's not for me. I'm done with it. And he really did. He canceled all of his shows, canceled his tours. And he said he was booking shows where he was getting paid $5,000. And then he stopped, and then shortly after he was getting what was he saying, like way more, $10,000 and $15,000 speaking fees once he was doing what felt right inside of him.
Yeah, it was never, he would say, he's like, it was never enough. He's like, oh, once I sell out a show, I'll feel good. He'd sell out the show. Once I make it on TV, I'll feel good. He made it on a show. Once people recognize me walking down the street, I'll feel good. It was a never-ending cycle. I know how that feels too. I wasn't famous or anything, but in my career, I'd be like, once I hit this, I'll feel good. How many of us have felt like that? I remember hitting a goal on November 30th, 2016. It was a very high goal in my job, and I swear to God, it was at midnight that I hit it. At 12:02, I was like, that's it? Do you know what I mean? It's never, ever enough. And that was his cue that something's not right here. I just hit the pinnacle of exactly what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to do. And it wasn't enough. But I do enjoy how he does use his comedy in this book. It was still a gift.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because he's not denying his talents. He's just shifting. How can I use this to better serve, all of it, because we all need to hear it a million different ways. I mean, Dr. Shefali wrote the foreword in his book, and a lot of their teachings are very similar, but sometimes we need to hear it in a million different ways. And this stuff, let's be honest, it can get really deep, really emotional. So for someone to come out and have a humorous spirit about it and just kind of take it to a lighter level and joke about it, for me, it feels great. I love both of them,
Me too.
But it's so good to have kind of the yin and yang, right?
They're going to have like different audiences, but obviously you and I both like both of them. They both speak to us. So you'll see when you start watching him on YouTube or you read this book for yourself, and you could see this guy, I think he has a very wide appeal because of his humor. I love when he mentions Michael Jordan working. Did you remember that part about Michael Jordan? That he worked at Applebee's? He's like, what if Michael Jordan worked at Applebee's and he had amnesia and you were trying to tell him, no, you're a legend. I swear to God, you're a legend. You can do a million things. You have a million different ways to earn income. And he's like, sorry, Kyle, I'm a realist. I got to pay the bills. I'm about to get a manager position here at Applebee's. And you're like, no, I'm telling you, you're a legend. It's just the way he says it and explains it to relate with us. So we can relate it like, wait a minute. Am I a legend too? And I have amnesia and my coaches are telling me that I'm awesome. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not. I have to pay the bills. Don't you understand that I have to pay the bills? I'm about to move up.
I think some people, when I tell them the illusion of money, they're like, money's not an illusion. And I'm like, just read the book. I do want to say that this book, it's fairly short. If you don't love if you don't love reading, it's such a quick and easy read. Also comes with a beautiful documentary. When you purchase the book, you get the documentary. I think it's about an hour. And then you also get links to a book club with worksheets. So they're for, what is this, like a $20 book? You get so much, so much. Don't you agree?
Oh my gosh. For $20, you get timeless wisdom that this man, who dedicated his life to the commitment to himself and meditation through his inner work, this was birthed out of him for $20. I mean, it's priceless, this book, really.
Plus a documentary, plus a book club, plus worksheets. You did the book club, I assume?
I did. I participated on YouTube. I would just watch it on YouTube.
I love the book club because he does real life examples.
Yeah.
And it's still there. It was live when he released the book, but you can still go back. I checked today. You can still go back and watch. They're all archived. So what was your favorite takeaway?
My favorite takeaway is that he explains that the thing that we're going after in life, whether it's money, a job, a relationship, whatever we're chasing, it's usually to feel worthy. We're like, oh, if I get this, I'll feel really good. And what he explains in this book really clearly is that we are the source of the birthing of these things. So we have to find our worth in who we are. We are the source. We are the person that created every dollar we've ever made.
Mm-hmm.
We are the source of every relationship we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So if you tap in, if you just do a little bit of a shift there, it's a shift from the outer to the inner.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that we're the source of all of it has completely transformed my life. Even in moment to moment situations where I don't know what to do, I'm thinking, is this an external thing that I'm chasing? Or am I looking to myself as the source of birthing all of this? And that really helped me a lot in my life, ever since I read this book. So I'm just amazed at the way he is able to explain things so clearly. And he's also a comedian, so he adds a little humor to it too. But I think that's the main thing for me, is that we're the source of all of the gifts and beauty and everything we ever wanted to see externally or chase externally is already within us. We wouldn't be able to access feelings of worthiness or whatever if it wasn't already within us. It's just an excuse to, when we accomplish these things, it's just the excuse to actually feel them. If we won the lotto, we'd have a sense, oh my God, we're so abundant. But those feelings were already within us. We don't need the external. It's been backwards all along.
Yeah. And once you get that concept, he talks about raising your value, which I think is so important because, you know, I know even for me, I've thought, oh, I can't do that job. I can't do X, Y, Z. And it's like, as soon as you say that, you've limited yourself.
Literally.
Yeah. And I like how he talks about, he gives the example of Oprah. He says on page 53, I think of someone like Oprah who's extremely rich, but Oprah isn't just rich, she's valuable. She's tapped into an aspect of her unlimited creativity, bringing ideas into the world in a way that makes her very valuable. If Oprah's account were wiped out tomorrow, she'd still be incredibly abundant and able to instantly create millions because of the value that she has developed over the years. And that just clicked with me because he breaks it down in the next chapter, the three Helens. He gives an example of three Helens all won $1 million. And, one squandered it, one invested it in, stocks or whatever. And then one invested it in themselves. How would that break down? And once it's broken down, you're like, oh my God, there's no other way,
Right.
Because even if you're the investor, you're just constantly watching, like you said, on the outside, you're not investing in your own value.
Yeah. Well, he said it, I don't know what page it was, but he was saying that, most of us, and it's so true, think about all your friends and family. Most of us would commit to our job more than anything else in our lives. Like, we will show up no matter what to our job, but we won't commit to the inner work for ourselves, or taking that time to really hone in on the things that we need to address within ourselves. But we would go to our job in 2.2 seconds because that's where we think we're getting our value. And we commit to that. It's still outside of ourselves. But I love what you said about page 53 with Oprah. It's so true. I think he said it about Tina Turner too, or one of the singers. He said, and she could have every concert, canceled and rain delay and snowstorm and whatever, and be like, most of us be like, oh my God, where's my money going to come from? But because of their value, they could sell out tickets in 2.2 seconds again, because the value's within.
Mm-hmm. And so that really translated a lot for me to invest in yourself. And that is doing the inner work for me. Another concept that I love, he talks about tens, and also at the end of every chapter, he gives you an action item to do, which I think is amazing, because if you do the exercise, you're really going to get a lot more fulfillment out of the book. But he talks about tens, and what he means by tens is just, quieting yourself and saying like, okay, an example of like hiring a personal trainer. Does that feel like a 10? Like, yes, that would be so amazing.
Yeah.
Or, scrolling through Facebook. Does that feel like a 10? So working out with the trainer for an hour, does it feel like this? Or does it feel like this? Even just exercise. If you didn't hire a trainer, you're during the workout, it might suck, but afterwards it's going to feel amazing.
Like this.
But think about how many people say, I don't have time to work out, but do you have time to sit there on the couch and scroll on social media? More than likely, we all do it, myself included. So it's not a shaming thing. It's just saying that, again, value in yourself. I'm going to feel a lot better after I work out than than just scrolling, feeling less than, comparing myself. I mean, comparison is kryptonite, and that's what social media does,
Yeah. I did that. I love that page too, on page 81. So I think what he wants us to do in this book is not only conceptually understand the ideas. He's like, you could read any book and understand the concepts in your mind, but until you experience it or feel it in your body, it really won't make as much sense, and you won't really know it for yourself until you do it. So these little exercises at the end to like figure out, what are tens in my life? Like, when was the last time you sat by yourself to think of the things that actually bring you this expansive feeling? This way, not this way, constricted. So this expansive way of life, this 10 way of life. Why do you think someone else deserves it and you don't? Do you think Oprah is just the only person on the planet, or Michael Jordan? I love how he brings reference to Michael Jordan, is the only one that deserves this sort of greatness, or your best friend who has all the greatest things in the world, or someone that you admire, but you yourself don't really. And that's the thing too, as you read this book and start experiencing these things and taking these little quizzes and taking the time for yourself, you realize, oh my God, I have never even ever asked myself these questions, ever. I've cared more about other people. I've cared more about my job, my place of business, everything outside of myself but myself. And when you make that shift and find out what the source of you is, everything changes organically. Working out becomes easier. Let me tell you that. For me, it was like, oh, I gotta go. I'm so big, my pants don't zip. And then it's like, once you start doing this inner work, your body calls you to move. You want to move. It's more of an organic flow. You'll find as you're peeling these layers and doing these exercises, it becomes more appealing to do it than not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just love the feeling of, after I've accomplished the workout, that is like, it's undeniable at that point, because I just feel like, I feel like I could fly, honestly. Now, during the workout,
the universe is rewarding you, like saying, look, doesn't this feel so good? This is your body. This is your body that gives you every cue you ever needed.
Yeah. And for the coaches out there watching, I did the tens exercise, the one on 83. And then he even goes into a little bit deeper in the next chapter of doing your average in life, and I did an exercise with one of my clients, and she kept saying, I was like, don't overthink it. I'm going to list a few things. And she kept going, 0, 0. And I didn't say anything to the end, but I said, isn't that interesting how 0 wasn't an option? It was 1 through 10, but she gave, 20 zeros. And that was a big aha for her. It was like, wow, I wasn't even putting myself on the scale,
Yeah. That's so many people, I'm a coach as well. And I find that my clients and my friends and my family, for the most part, we're not paying attention to ourselves. We're doing the same habitual conditioned life that we always have, living in a box, checking the boxes, like Shivali likes to say. Dr. Shivali is a teacher that we follow, and there's like these check boxes that they have, but none of them ever really look at the inner source, the inside, of paying attention to that more. And because everything's been in our past has been based on external circumstances, and now it's got to shift. And in the shift, I can honestly say through my experience in the shift, I've never felt more alive in my life. And the flow and ease that he talks about in this book, and what I've worked on with my clients too, it's like the flow and ease. Once you start paying attention to yourself, there is a stream, there is a flow with life. There is a way of the way. There is an inner guidance system. So these exercises are not to make you feel bad about yourself. They're to wake you up that, wait, how have I been living in this limited box all along when I'm infinite possibility? Right?
Yeah, we're so conditioned to not feel what it feels like in our body. And even with my husband, in important decisions that we have to make regarding our finances or our son, I'll, it's easy to forget. And then all of a sudden I'll say, oh, wait, okay, how does this feel? How does this feel? Does it feel limiting or does it feel expansive?
Yeah.
And it's something that, even a 7-year-old can get, how does this feel for you? And if you have children and you kind of plant a seed, they'll carry that with them for the rest of their lives. Like, does it feel good? My son had a friend who lied to him and he was really upset. And I was like, how does that feel? And I say that to him a lot because I'm not there to solve his problems. I'm there to just kind of, bring it into a light that he doesn't have the ability to bring in yet. And so he'll say, oh, wow, yeah, it felt kind of yucky, or, oh, it does feel really good, to learn something new, for instance. And so something great, we can plant those seeds early on with our kids, because culturally we're just told, rinse, repeat, even if it sucks, suck it up. That's a big one. When I was a kid, suck it up, push through,
throw it under the rug, throw it right under the rug and forget about it and go, work yourself to death or drink or do drugs or, do anything that will, or keep, for me, it was always, when I would start to feel anxious or bad or icky or whatever, instead of looking within or taking care of myself, I was always the one that would help my best friends or others. And you'd think, oh no, that's so sweet. No, that was more, now that I figured myself out, that was my way of coping with my own inner turbulence. So if I put the focus on somebody else and their problems were worse than mine, then I would be like, okay, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we do that. We try to find something external that will calm down that fire within us. And what that fire really is within us, or that turbulence within us, is a call for us to look at ourselves and to really stay in our bodies. But we've been conditioned to not live in our bodies.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of,
that inner compass.
Yeah.
That inner compass that we all have,
we
listen
have it.
to it. And if something feels constricting or, yucky, that's where, get curious. Why am I doing this? Why am I in a meeting that I hate? Why am I, in a negative friendship or a toxic relationship? And so it's tough, but if once you do it more and more and more, it becomes much easier.
That's the truth. It becomes more of the default the other way than just running for our thing that we think will help us be calm, and then, like you said, teaching our kids this from the beginning, I mean, that's the game changer. That's what's going to change everything. But we have so many layers of conditioning, but it just starts with awareness, starting with reading this book and doing some of the exercises and just ranking some of the things on a scale of 1 to 10. Can you just start there? And that's where the awareness, and that's where the seed and the awareness becomes like, oh, wait, I remember this conversation these girls had, and they said to start paying attention to the things that made me feel icky. Mm-hmm. Made me feel uncomfortable. Like, instead of going right for the thing that I'm addicted to, pause for a minute and just be curious. And curiosity is, what I found is, curiosity is the energy through which the wisdom is able to flow. Mm-hmm. And your inner guidance really does have the answers, but you can't hear them when it's clouded by, I'm going to go help somebody. I feel like shit. I'm going to go help somebody, or whatever people do to kind of tame that beast within. And all it ever needed was your own attention.
Yeah, I have a bad habit of, if I start to feel uncomfortable, I'll reach for my phone. And so I've started to say, okay, that's a note for myself. Like, when you're reaching for your phone, you're suppressing, you're feeling something uncomfortable that you need to dive into a little bit. And it's important to say that, people are like, that's gross, I don't want to feel uncomfortable. It will pass. It's actually short-lived. As soon as you recognize it and you get curious about it, it almost immediately dissipates. Would you not agree?
100%. And usually it's only 90 seconds. It's usually 90 seconds of awareness. If you really want to, commit to this and know that these triggers within us are actually our actual key to freedom. So if you notice yourself getting uncomfortable and you actually sit with this, because you're not this energy, you're the vast container around it. It's kind of like you have your kids and you're not telling them what to do, making the decisions, but you're the container for it. So these energies will arise. We're the vast space around it. We're the awareness of it. All we have to do is say, hey, I'm curious about you. You're welcome to live here in my body. Tell me what's up. And then this thing, and Kyle even says, he goes, it'll start to swim around in your shoulder. He's so funny. He's like, it'll start to swim around in your body like, hey, there you go. Woo, woo, woo. And then it dissipates and it kind of just transforms and you feel lighter. So if your goal is to be calm and feel lighter, you have to actually go through the pain, which we've never really been taught that.
People are like, whoop.
We're like, no. I'm like,
cold. Nope. Mm-mm.
Don't want to do that.
I love it when he was talking about, how we all have these, society-wise, we have these sayings about money. And could you imagine dating money? Like, imagine yourself on a date with money and you're like, you are the root of all evil. Nothing good comes from you. Like, how's that date going to go? Probably not going to be a good one, but that's what we do with money. So how do you think that your relationship with money, which is a vibration in of itself, how do you think your relationship with money, if you're always scared that you're going to lose it, think of that as a boyfriend or girlfriend or a partner. If you're always scared that you're going to lose that partner, how's that relationship going?
Exactly.
It's not going to go. It's not going to end well. We all know that. So I like those little analogies that, he puts it in a comedic format, but they resonate.
They totally resonate. Yeah. And that's where his genius, that's where he is genius. And I love how he talks about when he meditates, he said he could meditate for 4 hours and get the exact same results as somebody that was in a boardroom planning for 2 years. It's like this, just honing in onto your inner self and really listening to silence for a long time. I think that's how he's able to get these brilliant analogies or stories that will help us to relate. So he could stand up on stage and explain Michael Jordan to an audience and everybody would be able to understand that. And I think that that's just a reminder to me that this piece of looking within and really listening to silence will birth these genius ideas that could be put into a book where a whole humanity can understand that story.
Yeah, or I love it how he said, I had this idea to make a documentary along with the book. He'd never made a documentary. He doesn't have any film school experience, but he was just like, we're going to do it,
Yeah.
You got to push through those fears.
Yeah.
So,
he's amazing.
So, thank you for joining me today.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me. Kyle is like, I just love him so much, and I'm so honored to be on here with you and your group. And I hope everybody, no matter what, if you buy the book or not, it really doesn't matter. I hope you just know to just pay attention to yourself and give yourself the same amount of commitment that you would your addiction or the thing you'd run to if you just turned it and just went within. It's been absolutely game-changing for me. I used to be driven that way, and this book and having the support. So just knowing, hey, you might not have best friends that support you or a group that supports you, but you could go on YouTube and watch Kyle, and I swear to God, you'll feel that connection and you'll be able to look at yourself with more wisdom and paying more attention to yourself. So thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Staci.
Thank you. God bless you. We'll talk soon.
Okay.